The holding cell reeked of ozone and fear. Erin pressed herself against the cold metal wall, her left eye swollen shut, blood trickling from her split lip. The Yarvex guard, a towering reptilian with scales like obsidian, raised his shock baton again, electricity crackling along its length. "Where are the human weapons?" he demanded, his forked tongue flicking between serrated teeth. Erin spat blood at his feet. "Go to hell." The baton came down. Pain exploded across her ribs. She gasped but didn't scream. Wouldn't give him the satisfaction. What the Yarvex didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Erin wasn't alone on this station. 3 decks below, Grayson moved through the maintenance tunnels like a shadow. His neural implant fed him Erin's vital signs: elevated heart rate, stress hormones spiking, multiple contusions. Each reading made his jaw clench harder. They'd been smuggling medical supplies to the human refugees on Outpost Meridian when the Yarvex sovereignty intercepted their ship. Standard procedure: separate the crew, interrogate, execute. The Yarvex had been expanding their territory for decades, and humans were just another obstacle to crush. Standard procedure. But they'd made one critical mistake. They'd assumed humans traveled in pairs because they were weak. Grayson reached the service panel above Detention Block 7. Through the grating, he could hear the guard's voice, could hear Erin's labored breathing. His fingers moved with practiced precision, disabling the surveillance feed, rerouting the power grid. The Yarvex had ruled this sector for 300 years. They were stronger, faster, more technologically advanced. They'd subjugated 17 species without breaking a sweat, but they'd never met humans before. "Last chance, little mammal," the guard growled, grabbing Erin by her hair and yanking her head back. "Your partner's location. Your weapons cache. Give me something useful or I start removing fingers." Erin's one good eye fixed on him. Despite the pain, despite the fear that should have broken her, she smiled. It was a terrible smile, full of blood and broken teeth. "You should have studied us better," she whispered. The guard frowned. "What? The lights died." Emergency lighting kicked in a heartbeat later, bathing everything in crimson. But that heartbeat was all Grayson needed. He dropped through the ceiling panel, landing in a crouch between Erin and the guard. The Yarvex was fast, impossibly fast, his baton swinging toward Grayson's head. But humans hadn't conquered Earth by being the strongest or the fastest. They'd done it by being the most relentless. Grayson caught the baton mid-swing, electricity coursing through his arm. His muscles spasmed, but he'd trained for this, had conditioned his nervous system to function through pain that would paralyze most species. His other hand shot forward, a combat knife appearing as if from nowhere, the blade sinking into the gap between the Yarvex's chest plates. The guard roared, backhanding Grayson across the cell. He crashed into the wall, stars exploding across his vision. The Yarvex yanked the knife free, green blood oozing from the wound. "You dare!" Erin's leg sweep caught him behind the knees. The guard toppled and she was on him instantly, chains she'd managed to loosen wrapping around his throat. The Yarvex was stronger, thrashing violently, but Erin held on with savage determination. "Grayson," she gritted out. "His wrist terminal." Grayson dove forward, fingers flying across the holographic interface on the guard's bracer. Security protocols, cell blocks, station schematics, all flooding into his neural implant. "There," Erin gasped, still choking the struggling Yarvex. Detention Block 3, the other humans. The guard's thrashing was weakening. Grayson met Erin's eyes across the guard's body. She was battered, bleeding, barely standing, but her gaze was steel. "How many?" he asked quietly. 12 guards between us and them." "Odds?" That blood-soaked smile again. "Terrible," Grayson smiled back. "Good." The Yarvex had cataloged humanity's physical limitations extensively. Weaker than Yarvex, slower than the Kithrin, less armored than the Gruul. On paper, humans shouldn't have survived their own homeworld, let alone reach the stars. What the reports hadn't captured, what couldn't be measured in laboratory settings, was what happened when you backed a human into a corner. When you hurt someone they cared about. The first 2 guards died before they realized the humans had escaped. Grayson and Erin moved through the station like a surgical strike, using every vent, every blind spot. Every weakness in the Yarvex is overconfident. Security. The 3rd guard managed to sound an alarm before Erin's. Improvised garrote silenced him permanently. "Now the real fight," began Commander Zarax of the Yarvex. Sovereignty had overseen this detention station for 20 years. He'd broken species that prided themselves on courage. He'd watched the strongest warriors weep, so when the alarm klaxons blared, he assumed it was a malfunction. When his guards reported 2 escaped humans, he laughed. When the reports stopped coming, he stopped laughing. "All units to detention block 3, he snarled into the comm. "Lock it down. I want those mammals alive." But his guards were already dead. Aaron planted the last explosive charge while Grayson covered the corridor, a stolen plasma rifle in his hands. The other human prisoners, merchants, refugees, a teenage girl who'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time, huddled behind them. 30 seconds, Aaron announced, her fingers steady despite her injuries. "Make it 20, Grayson replied, dropping 2 more guards with precise shots. "We've got company." The station shuddered as the charges detonated simultaneously. Bulkheads collapsed, creating a clear path to the docking bay. Alarm screamed. "Atmosphere vented into space, chaos, beautiful, terrible chaos, move." Grayson roared and the prisoners ran. Commander Zrax reached the docking bay just in time to watch the stolen shuttle break free, its engines flaring as it accelerated toward the jump point. 2 humans, just 2, had torn through his station, freed their people, and vanished into the void. On the shuttle's hull, painted in the commander's own blood, was a simple message in the human language: "We protect our own." Later, when Aaron finally allowed herself to collapse into the co-pilot seat, Grayson handed her a medical kit. "You okay?" he asked softly. She pressed the cold pack against her swollen eye, wincing. "That guard," he asked where you were, "kept hitting me to make me talk." "What did you tell him?" Aaron's smile was gentler now, but no less fierce. "I told him he should worry less about where you were and more about when you'd arrive." She paused. "I also told him that if he hit me once more, his smile would hang from our wrists." Grayson looked at the Yarvex guard's ceremonial bracer now locked around his forearm, taken as a trophy, and laughed, a sound equal parts relief and vindication. Behind them, 12 freed humans began their journey home, and across the sector, the Yarvex sovereignty learned a lesson that would reshape their empire. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was that they never, ever abandoned their own.